Hi YouTube. So today I'm going to be talking about moon in partner's 8th house. So what this means is that if you're the moon person or the house person, it doesn't matter. One person's moon sign is the same as the partner's 8th house. Therefore, that moon is going to fall in the 8th house if the charts are overlaid on top of each other. Anyways, so let's move on. What it means. The moon is your emotions. It's who you are at the core. It's what you feel. It's the side that no one sees of you. Now, the 8th house is the house traditionally ruled by Scorpio. And this is going to have to do with a lot of things that are scorpionic. This house is mysterious. It's a very curious house as well. It's a very nitpicky house. If you have planets in this house, it's going to be emphasized. But if it's just an empty house, then you'll see these qualities when someone's placements fall into your house. But anyways, the 8th house has to do a lot more with like death, sex, anything taboo, anything. It also has to do with your life after marriage, your relationship with your in-laws, and your taxes. But mainly we're going to stick to the mysterious side of the 8th house, the secretive, and the very scorpionic, jealous natures that you will see in this aspect. I do have some notes, so if I'm looking down, I'm just referring to them. So basically, this is going to create a very powerful and like deep bond. It's going to be an unconditional bond. There are going to be a lot of power struggles and sort of a love-hate relationship. Now, the love-hate relationship stems from the fact that there are like some power plays between the two of you. The moon person is going to feel they're both going to be drawn to each other. They're both going to love each other and care about each other the same way. Not necessarily the same way, but like they're both going to have feelings for each other. So one may be more intense than the other, but that's up to you and your relationship and what's going on there. But the moon person is going to feel an undesirable connection, like they have to go for the 8th house person, or they can't deny the fact that they are into the 8th house person. Okay, like that's just a fact. But because it's the moon and it's the emotions, and Scorpio placements have a lot to do with control. So if your moon is falling into someone's house of Scorpio, you are going to feel very, very exposed in a sense. So the 8th house person, by the way, your 8th house doesn't have to be in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio just traditionally rules that house. But if your moon falls into that house, all of those scorpionic feelings are going to come out for the house person. So let's say I'm the moon person and you're the house person. My moon falls into your 8th house. I'm going to start feeling very exposed when it comes to things of love and jealousy, and I'm going to feel very intense feelings for you. So that's when the moon person is going to get a little bit emotionally insecure, because the house person will know, and to a certain extent, it may be subconscious, but they know that they have power over the moon person. They know that the moon person cares about them and loves them and is extremely vulnerable to the house person. It may not be said, but it's known between both of them. And the moon person is going to feel like they don't have control of their feelings of the 8th house person. They're going to want to discover more about the 8th house person. They're going to want to know more about the 8th house person. And they're going to feel the need to kind of dive deep into whatever psyche of the 8th house person. Now, the moon person is going to be confused at times. They are going to be emotionally distraught. They can get really angry at the 8th house person if feelings aren't reciprocated, if there isn't a mutual level of trust and respect. The moon person will kind of lose themselves. The moon person is going to start to feel like that love is consuming them. They may constantly think about them. They may constantly be wondering who that person's texting, what they're doing. They want the 8th house person to themselves. And the 8th house person may also feel this as well. But it's more prominent in the in the moon person. Now, if the Venus was falling in the 8th house, then the 8th house person's going to feel it more. But because it's the moon, it's not so much of like you're bringing these like sexual feelings out in me. That's more Venus, but Moon is more emotion. So there is like an emotional connection, and the Moon person is going to find that they can open up to the 8th house person about their secrets and stuff that they'll never tell anybody else. You'll find that these two can open up to each other about that kind of stuff. Even things that they're embarrassed about themselves, they'll be able to talk about their behaviors and stuff. But let's say if it's a relationship and you two are together, the outcome of the relationship really, really depends on the maturity that both of you guys have. If you're able to talk about your feelings with each other and you're able to say that, and like there's a mutual level of love and trust and respect, then this relationship can flourish. It can really be good. But if it's not even a relationship, or if it's a relationship that's kind of weak and both of you two aren't mature, then there's going to be this dynamic that is almost like a karmic relationship. There's going to be moments that you feel really good with each other, that there's happy, that it's easygoing, and then something along the way is going to blow up in your face, and then the relationship's going to blow up in your face, and you're going to be like, what the fuck happened? Everything was good. And then it's not going to be good anymore. And then you're going to find yourself, like a karmic relationship, repeating cycles. It's going to be like a cycle over and over and over again. And until you two learn how to grow up from it and move on and not be controlling of one another, then it's always going to stay like that. Because a big part of things that have to do with Pluto and Scorpio and 8th house in a relationship has to do with a lot of transformations. So I would say that this relationship dynamic has a lot of transformations to go through. And if you guys aren't willing to change and grow with each other, then one of them's going to be changing and transforming and growing and flourishing, and the other one's going to be lagging behind, dragging the relationship down. This is definitely a relationship that has to be growing together, or you will grow apart from each other. And that's hard, because with this, it's like a really intense relationship, and if you two are growing apart from each other but yet feel these really intense feelings for each other, it's going to be really hard to let go and move on. But there's this, in my eyes, I think that this relationship isn't necessarily meant to like grow apart. Like, I feel like y'all should work on it and stuff like that. And if it's not a relationship and it's like a friendship and stuff, well then honestly, I don't know what to say. Like, this is more like a romantic relationship video. So, yeah, it can be a really dramatic, very dramatic relationship when it comes to arguments. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that there are things that both of them have in their past. Both have more like past traumas and stuff, and those things can be buried. Like, you can have some trust issues and some commitment issues and stuff like that, and you can bury it and bury it and bury it, but you two are going to bring that out in each other, and that's what's going to suck about it. Because it's like someone prying and picking at your past and like showing you everything, you know what I mean? And kind of like being able to like dig up the unconscious of your behavior and how you are in relationships. And it will suck. And one of you guys will want to run away. One of you guys will feel like the other person's controlling. And that's okay. I think that this relationship has a lot to do with twin flames and karmic. Like, if it has to do with a cycle and you feel like it's constantly like a struggle and a battle to either be with each other, or you really, really care about them but you just can't seem to get along for the life of you, that's going to lean towards more of a karmic relationship, and it can be better, but you just need to work on it. And then the twin flame side of it is when you guys overcome those things, and it's more of it. Once you overcome any issues that you guys have, your relation's going to be like this. It's going to be like tightly bonded. Like, nothing will be able to separate you except each other. Like, you know what I mean? But if it's more of the rocky thing, it's going to be really easy to break, because this is something that has to do with a lot of like death and rebirth of your relationship. If it's not taken like care of, if you're not constantly being open and honest with each other, you're going to find yourself walking like a really thin layer of ice that it can crack and break any moment. And it won't like crack and break, it will like explode in your face. And it kind of sucks. I feel like that would suck. So just like work on it and be open and honest. That's like the best way this relationship will play out. Because if not, one of you guys are going to end up feeling used. One of you guys are going to end up feeling like they left you or they didn't try hard enough and all of this. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Gossip Girl, because I know a lot of you guys are like kind of older, but there's these two people in the show, Chuck and Blair. They have like an 8th house relationship. So if you want to get a better grasp and idea of what it's like, just watch Gossip Girl and watch Chuck and Blair, and you'll see that in the beginning of their relationships and stuff, they are really like attracted to each other, but there's just so many like past like fears that they bring out in each other, and that just breaks it. But then as they get older, they learn how to get past it, and yada yada yada. And anyways, they end up married. So that's like the dynamic that you'll see in this. I've never had one of these relationships, so I can't really tell you firsthand experiences, but I have seen other people go through it. So I've seen like the relationships that usually there's a lot of like cheating and mistrust and stuff, but they'll still stay together. Like you'll see that they'll cheat on each other, they'll lie to each other, they'll be secretive to each other, and once one of them starts displaying these qualities, the other one will emulate them to get even. What? But then they'll still stay with each other. So it's really weird. It's really strong. It's a really strong and intense bond that no matter like what each other does to each other, they're still gonna love each other, and nothing will really tear them apart except each other, unless if they like run away from each other and stuff like that. But yeah, so their love is like more of an unconditional type of love. The house person in this relationship is gonna feel hella adored by the moon person, because the house person knows how much control they have over that moon person's feelings, without even like knowing it, like without even acknowledging that they're like, oh yeah, I'm the dominant person in this relationship. No, they just like, they don't even have to acknowledge it, they just kind of like know it, you know what I mean? But the moon person is going to be that person that can't say no to the house person. They're going to be saying yes, yes, yes every time. No matter what the house person does, the moon person will usually start to crawl back. Now, the moon person and the house person both get really, really jealous, okay? Because let me put it this way. The house person knows that they're adored and loved by the moon person. But if those feelings aren't reciprocated back and the house person is just like playing this controlling aspect over the moon person will eventually run away and give their love to someone else. And if this happens, the house person will be really, really pissed, because it's like they'll realize that they're just like, wait, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be loving me and adoring me. And the moon person's like making them jealous intentionally. The moon person will use more manipulative tactics to help the house person understand what it feels like to be the moon person. The moon person will intentionally make the person jealous, will intentionally make them angry, will intentionally manipulate them just so that they can understand how it feels like to be them, you know? So the house person is the one that has in control, but it's also the house person's duty to kind of like get on that mutual wave and like see that yes, you have control over the moon person, but that's a big issue, is when you have control over someone's emotions and you don't treat it right, then the other person has the ability to walk away. A house person loves the moon person. They just are, some of them can be a little bit too prideful, like a Scorpio, you know what I mean? Can be too prideful until that person runs away, then they can get a little bit upset about it. So yeah, this relationship is a really deep connection. There's going to be a deep connection to both of you. The moon person's going to want to like get to the nitty-gritty of it all, and the house person like kind of is going to be overseeing it in a sense, but they are also going to be deeply tied to it. They just have more control over what they feel compared to the moon person, because that's the core of a person, the moon. So, of course, the house person's going to have more control because it's not their moon that's being affected. It's the moon person's moon. Uh, so unconditional bond, power struggles can be overcome, but it all depends on how you treat each other and how you respond to each other. It's definitely a good thing to be open and honest and trustworthy with each other, because if not, it's going to spiral down and you're going to repeat a cycle because you guys can't be away from each other. So there's really no point in like going through all that turmoil. It's better just to work through it instead of just like going through it and then giving up and then starting it all over again. Like, just work through it, you know what I mean? So yeah, outcomes all depend on maturity of the two people and feelings that both of them have. There will be a love-hate relationship because you're going to hate each other for loving each other for so much and hate each other for the things that you can do, because you guys are able to get under each other's skin in a way that nobody else can get under each other's skin. So that's where the hate part comes in, but the love part, that's pretty obvious. Anyways, I felt like I really just rambled in this video and didn't have anything really strung and tied together neatly, so I'm sorry. But I don't know, that's just how I work. Anyway, so I'll see you guys in my next video, and bye. Comment if I missed anything. Yeah, because I felt like I might have like skipped over a lot, and you can comment how this relationship plays out for you, because people that watch this, if they read the comments, then they'll be able to like relate to you. So yeah, you can comment whatever you want to comment. Okay, bye.